In today's video, we're going to be taking a huge look here at the tropics, where odds are still increasing that we're going to be seeing a tropical cyclone of sorts in the southern Caribbean and likely in the Gulf of Mexico at some point here. We're up to an 80% chance of development, so really increasing those odds every single day at this point, so not looking too good there. We're going to be also looking at some major storms happening across the nation, especially the central states, but some of these will be extending into the east, where we will be dealing with some much needed rainfall and some slight cooldowns for sure. Some model guidance suggesting that in the medium to long range, we could be seeing a little bit more significant colder air on the way at some point, so we will be touching on that. And insane amounts of mountainous snowfall out west is kind of on the horizon here. So let's just dive into things. Take a look here at our tropical cyclone here from the European ensemble model. And this is each individual model plotted in a spaghetti plot. And what we see is that the overall consensus is something like this. And actually, we get quite a bit of southern curvature, which would be really good news. That would basically hinder the development because this area is certainly not as favorable as the northern Gulf typically is. Not only that, we typically, see this land interaction as a bad thing. And, some of these areas are higher elevation, a lot of it's lower elevation, but it still will help to hinder that development nevertheless. The one kind of caveat here is that this European model has been consistently showing these tropical cyclones far suppressed to the south like this, whereas the GFS model, keeps them further north. And the European model has been wrong this season so far when it shows this. That's not to say it's impossible, and we're still going to hope for this, but there is some reason to doubt this a little bit. We do see quite hefty amount of these members kind of taking the storm northward across the Gulf Coast here. We see many different areas here from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. All of these states seeing numerous landfalling model guidance. So we're seeing a handful with that type of a solution as well, which again would be kind of the worst case scenario at this point. Let's, on the other hand, take a look here at the GFS model, which is a lot more direct. Again, this one has been more accurate so far this season, which does not mean that it's going to be more accurate in this case, but it does slightly lean you in that direction, of course. But you just never know, so I don't want you guys to take this as gospel and disregard the European entirely just because that's how it's been this season. They could flip at any point, and the European model could be completely correct, and the GFS model could completely just bomb the forecast and just be terrible. So it's important to pay attention to every single possibility here. That's why. We do see that this one takes it a little further east, and we do get more of a northern track here. A lot of these close to Florida, a lot of these close to other states in the Gulf Coast as well. The only kind of piece of good news that we have going for us really at this point is that early on, a lot of these members do have this one going over Cuba, which of course is a little bit of bad news for them, but this storm is going to be pretty close to them almost regardless, so that's a given. But if it goes directly over those islands, it gives this storm an opportunity to weaken pretty quickly there, and it would hinder kind of the top end potential for this storm. So that would be overall good news for pretty much everybody regarding this potential tropical cyclone. So we, of course, will watch this one very closely, and we will look at the National Hurricane Center's outlook here at the end of the video. But let's just take a look here at our overall upcoming kind of pattern overall. And we do see right now a storm is taking place across the northwest. I guess I should move us more towards the afternoon here, but we do see that storm is still taking place. Snowfall in the higher elevations, of course, and rainfall in the lower. We do have some thunderstorms and showers flaring up for the south central states as well. And there is a spotty shower or two around for the eastern seaboard, but nothing significant whatsoever there is really occurring. Now, as we take a look here at our Sunday outlook here for November 3rd, this is what we end up seeing. We see that there is plenty of snowfall occurring for that western mountain range of the Rockies, the Cascades here. We see plenty of that occurring there. We do see a lot of showers and thunderstorms occurring here throughout the central states, so that is kind of flaring up as we see a warming pattern here. So this is moving in with that humidity. Overall, the jet stream is looking something like this. So we see this explosive kind of ridge here across a lot of your central states here, looking pretty intense there to say the least. This is all coming due to a low pressure system here. Kind of has this warm front, cold front look going on. So we will watch how this progresses. Let's take it towards Monday on November 4th, and what we see here is a pretty broad low pressure throughout the central states, so Oklahoma and Kansas here, the UP of Michigan, which is the original low, so it's moved up here. The energy is going to recycle back down to the south, and what this is going to do is it's going to prolong the time of storminess that we see overall here. It's going to really extend the period of rainfall that we're going to end up seeing from this one. So keep that in mind. But we are going to see this southern one become the primary low and then move up basically still into the kind of like Wisconsin Upper Peninsula area. Keep in mind, stronger thunderstorms are possible here, still on the front end of that storm, and we do see some snowfall in the back end there. Let's keep going towards Tuesday, and we see this become a lot more of like a classic look here. As we take a look, we see this is a 998 near the Great Lakes. Cold front dragging down and a warm front out ahead. So again, this aggressive warmth out ahead of all of this, and then a slightly cooler pattern behind all of this. The cold air really wants to stick around for the northwest here, so it's not diving and meeting that cold front whatsoever here. What we see is plenty of snowfall throughout the Rockies. Still, their snowfall this upcoming, next 10 days is going to be out of this world. And we are moving towards the time of year where it's very common to see a lot of snowfall out there, and it's one of the main periods of snowfall for them, matter of fact. But still, just insane amounts that we're seeing here. Wednesday on November 6th, we do see the East Coast beginning to get quite a bit of precipitation. This is the remnants of that cold front. It's not necessarily bringing a whole lot of cold air with it, of course, but it is bringing plenty of precipitation. And that's going to be really good news, especially if you're in the Southeast, you're seeing quite a bit. We do see for the Rockies, especially the Four Corner states here, we're seeing snowfall. Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and even Wyoming, they're seeing quite a bit of snowfall still by this point. Let's take it towards Thursday, and really a lot of the same here. Snowfall in those Four Corner states, some thunderstorms rising up perhaps for Texas and Oklahoma there, and then still precipitation is around for the Southeast here, which again is very good news. Here's your tropical cyclone, still just 1,002. We don't see this model intensify it too greatly, which is pretty common with the deterministic models. We do see here by Friday, it's to the north of the Yucatan Peninsula. So this one does take that European ensemble model's kind of track of taking it, further suppressed to the south here. That's overall what we're seeing from that one. By Friday, we're still seeing Four Corner state snowfall, some rainfall and thunderstorms happening throughout the plains. And then the Southeast here, we're seeing showers and thunderstorms as well. Let's take it towards Saturday on November 9th. And what we see is this storm rises up to the north. We get a lot of thunderstorms and showers out to the east of it, and still some snowfall here for Colorado and Wyoming. So their amounts, as you can probably tell, are going to be absolutely insane. As we reach towards Sunday, a little bit more of a classic look. This one wants to have a cold front here. No real warm front, but we do see warm air surging still nevertheless to the east of that low, which is going to be very common, by the way. We do see the cold air is kind of trying to move in with the cold front a little bit better this time around, but still not perfect. We have a pretty strong tropical low now by this point, approaching somewhere here along the northeast Mexican coast there. Let's take a look at our day here on Monday, November 11th, and really this is the first sign of cold in the east, but let's just take it from west to east. We do see a low pressure system moving on shore to the northwest, some snowfall in the north end, rainfall to the south here. Overall, your jet stream is dipping a little bit there, but overall a ridge in the west with some cooler air in the east. This is nothing significant, I might add. I want to really preface that. This is nothing crazy, but we are seeing cooler air in the east here, which is definitely different than what we're seeing on a lot of the short-range model guidance, and still some precipitation around throughout the deeper south and southeast, which is, again, good news. Total precipitation here, really high amounts for the northwest, the Four Corner states, the plains, up through the Great Lakes as well, and then portions of the southeast also. It's still the mid-Atlantic and northeast that are still struggling, but they are seeing a little bit more than they have seen, which is overall, again, good news. The anomalies here, we do see well above average here throughout these plains and Great Lakes and upper Midwest. Also, the southeast, we're seeing a whole lot, inches above average. The west is a little drier. Also, the mid-Atlantic through the northeast is a little drier. But again, definitely looking a lot better than what we have seen. Now, as we take a look at the total snowfall, insane amounts. As I've mentioned, we're seeing very large amounts for a lot of your kind of Cascades, Sierra Nevadas. Well, Sierra Nevadas is pretty marginal. We're seeing a couple of inches up to maybe 6 to 10, which for them is nothing crazy, of course. The Northern Rockies, we're seeing 1 to 2 feet. I would say the Cascades is maybe 1 to 3 feet, but a lot of these four corner states, we're seeing, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 feet of snowfall, which is definitely very drastic, especially Colorado there. We're seeing insane amounts. And you watch the model run, I mean, it was day after day after day, just seeing continuous snowfall. So it makes sense why there would be so much expected here. Here is your temperature pattern. Again, cooling here over the next couple days as we have a cold front. So this is for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The kind of mid-Atlantic and Northeast cools down for a little bit, but we see that warm-up move in. The West stays cold, which is going to be for most of the model run here. And really nothing much changes. We get a little Northeast cool down here around the 10th, perhaps, but really nothing too different. So let's just move on to the GFS model, which gets us a little bit further. Also a little bit of a different opinion, but again, not going to see anything too different here. We do see that first cool down, warm up. That sticks around at least through basically the end of the European model, but when we're looking at the 13th, 14th, 15th, we do see a pretty significant cooldown there around the midway point of the month, which could give you guys an idea of something to look forward to. And this is all the way through the 18th, where we continue to have mostly cold air in the east and mostly warm in the west. So maybe a pattern flip around the midpoint of the month, but I wouldn't, bet on it necessarily yet. We definitely need to watch and see. There's a lot of time to go and a lot of change that could occur, but overall, some decent news for cold and snow lovers. Let's take a look here at the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We do have Tropical Storm Patty up there in the North Atlantic, the very far North Atlantic, and that is very surprising, by the way. We do have a 10% chance of development here to the north of Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Cuba, but I really don't see this one developing. It's very low odds. It's been there for a few days, and nothing's really come of it. As we take a look to the south, though, the main event here in the tropics, we do see a 60% chance of development over the next 48 hours and an 80% chance of development over the next 7 days. So a drastically increased odds of development over the last few days. We were down at like a 40% chance, I think, just 2 or 3 days ago, all the way up to 80 now in the kind of longer range, and 60 here, the more than the flip of a coin over the next 2 days that we do see development, which is absolutely crazy stuff. So anyway, guys, I will keep you guys up to date with all of these things, of course, so be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.